Yes, there are efforts which we have been doing. PRASA, we have been called upon to look at is it Transnet. We also are very proud that on their own, some provinces have come to the fore. For instance, KwaZulu-Natal has 14 contracts in transport that they have given to military veterans. They have also supported 8 projects from military veterans in agriculture. We do know that within agriculture itself, the minister is looking at instances where a little help is pushed towards agriculture military vets. And I think that looking at that comes along very tidily. We know that eThekwini has absorbed about 350 military vets. That comes along. We know that Mpumalanga, we know that eThekwini has absorbed about 350. That is interesting because all of us know that whenever 885 military vets in Mpumalanga. So some people would ask, it is because sometimes when the military vet himself or herself cannot take a job, the dependents are given an opportunity. The dependents are given a buzzer so that the fire at home is kept given the opportunity. So we're looking at that. But we are also sure that when you have educated a dependent we're looking at of the military vets, you have actually we are also sure that when you have educated a dependent are supposed to of the military vets. This is the African way. We don't grow up and walk away. We grow up and become parents to our parents who parented us when we were babies. So and walk away. We're doing that. We're also looking at the Provincial Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs. We also because it is hosting the Provincial Department of Business Planning and Compliance Workshop. We are looking at human settlement because sometimes contracts in buildings, business and so there is a lot of we are looking at human settlement. I earlier on referred to the department itself training military vets in not only using their iPads and phones, but in fixing. That would enable a military vet to have a little store not only where if phones break within the community that they can do something and enable. It's not much, but that is what we are doing. So yes, we're working with other departments to make sure that we push for job opportunities. But we also encourage military vets when they leave the service to sparingly for job opportunities that which is, but we also encourage coming to them. So financial advice should be offered to every military vet as they leave to sustain them. Coming to them. Thank you. So financial advice.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Hadebe, is there a follow-up question?
To sustain them. Coming to them. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
yes, Honorable Chairperson, there is a
follow-up question?
And the follow-up would be to inquire whether the Honorable has faced challenges in proportionally dispersing benefits to some provinces and members. If so, what have they been? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Hadebe. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, there are still some challenges. Earlier on, I said that we have provincial administrators and coordinators. Sometimes they don't work too well. And people apply for benefits and the system just doesn't work. And that is why the Deputy President has also been doing the rounds in the provinces to go straight down there to listen to the people ourselves, to take up what needs there are. In some provinces, the system works. In some provinces, it doesn't work. So we have not concluded our rounds of provincial visits, But we do know that even if we say we decentralize, we digitalize, we teach people, there will be instances where some people fall in between the cracks. And that is why the warm body from HQ will run around. So yes, there are challenges. Do we have a department that is fit and proper? I'm the first one to say, yes, there is a department of military vets. But sometimes where I sit, my structure doesn't talk to my mandate. Is it too late in the day to fix the structure and the mandate? The mandate is right. And so we're working on where as they exit the system, we bring in people who actually focus the department where it should be. That is taking care of military vets across the board. So yes, there are challenges, and we're thinking that given it's not so much the resources, it is so much sometimes about a listening ear. It is so much about explaining how to access their benefits. It is so much about ensuring that the benefits are accessible. And that is why it is important for us to focus on the human element of DMV. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The next follow-up will be from the Honorable Mr. C.F. Beyer-Smith.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. In October 2021, veterans held the minister hostage after some of their claims for benefits were not met. Some earlier claims included a review of the integration prejudice reparations of 4.2 million rand per veteran and a pension of 15,000 rand per month were not met. Does the minister think that these claims are realistic? Will the government entertain it at all? And if so, how does the government plan to find a realistic consensus with seemingly very volatile group? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Smith. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Yes, indeed, we had an experience where the demands reasonable. Where were the demands coming from? I think even before I looked at the figures, I looked at the human beings. And therefore there is no anger. I have said it quite publicly that I hope that is never ever repeated again. But when people have given their lives for something, when they feel that they are not actually worth anything today, their efforts were just in vain, they will take drastic steps. So for us, some of us, an illegal act, but also a cry for help is how we interpret that. Is it reasonable for each member of whoever fought in any of the forces in South Africa to demand 4.2 million? I don't think this country can afford that, and we said so. I think that a reasonable pension, which we are now hoping to roll out before the end of this financial year, is what we will put there. We have made our studies. We have looked at countries like ourselves, and we think that it is reasonable because we actually brought in financial experts, studied, looked at what the other countries are giving, and we think we're giving the best that we can. Is it reasonable that the members should say that we're injured fighting for liberation? We should be. Yes, it is reasonable, and that is why we are even benchmarking with other medical schemes what we can give for those who are too far from where there are military hospitals. Is it reasonable that there is no appreciation that when the member himself or herself is not getting a bursary to further their studies, their dependents are I think it is unreasonable because somehow we're trying to improve the family of the military vet. So it is a mixed bag. Can the state anytime afford any demand and every demand? No state can do that. So the state must always be reasonable, because in trying to accommodate the military vets, you must also accommodate the non-military vets, the rest of the society. Do you want to advantage the military vets more than you advantage the others? No. You want a level where there is dignity, there is respect, and there is equality. So we're working on that. And as I say, before the end of the financial year, I can't remember the quantum off by heart, but we will be rolling out the military vets pensions. We will not be intimidated in not making sure that it is a real military vet who deserves that pension, who gets it. On that one, we're not compromising. The compromise that we have put in is to agree to have an appeal spot for a member who is told, but you can't prove you were trained anyway, you are not a military vet. There is an appeal spot that is now being instituted. It is going to cost us a little bit more, because if you create another structure, then you must pay for it. But I learned from a very wise man, and I hope he's still alive, Douglas Gibson, in 1994. He taught me that there is a big price for peace and for democracy. And sometimes people think that democracy and peace comes free. They don't. And that is the price we will pay to get dignity back for the military vets and to get peace across the fighting forces of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next follow-up is now by Honorable Ms. S.A. Lutuli on the virtual platform. Ms. Lutuli. So Ms. Lutuli is not there. We will continue. And the next follow-up will be from Honorable Ms. Audrey Malika.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. And thank you, Honorable Minister, for your response to the question. Honorable Minister, what is the department planning to do in order to increase the number of veterans receiving training in the Eastern Cape and Northern Cape? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malika. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
I said that, in fact, the Eastern Cape has trained more. It has offered more. Even the provincial government has come to the party. The Northern Cape is a pain because houses are still an issue, benefits, and we still owe them a visit. So the further you are into the rural areas, the more disadvantaged you are. And that is why we are doing this round of imbizos, going to provinces so that we pick up ourselves and see how we can alleviate. So we will do what we are doing in other provinces, both in the Eastern Cape, but especially in the Northern Cape, because we have not started scratching the surface there. Housing is an issue, health is an issue. So we will do everything to ensure that the benefits that come towards the people in time and with dignity. I referred to the issues of health. I referred to burials. I referred to even education benefits. In the Eastern Cape, at least, I can reel off a list of doctors who have produced in the Eastern Cape as military vets. But I can't reel off the list of doctors and engineers we have produced in the Northern Cape. So we do need to be giving more attention to the Northern Cape.
Honorable Minister, the next question will be question number 81, asked by the Honorable G. Mikalakis.
Thank you, Chairperson. The Honorable Mikalakis is asking me whether we will release the ages findings. Yes, sir, that is the short answer. We will release them. And yes, we will release the report with all the findings, good and bad. What we are working on is ensure that those findings are followed up. Corrections are made. If people have to face DC, they face DC. If people have to be court-martialed, they face court-martialing. But we will be following up. So yes, when we do in terms of the PFMA, we will do exactly that, Honorable Mikilakas. We will release.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mikalakis, oh, you are already on your feet.
I'm quick on my feet, Deputy Chair. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. You'd be happy to hear that Mr. Gibson is still alive, and he is indeed a very wise man. Minister, the report finds, and this is quite shocking, that 90 of the 122 investigations into fraud, no recommended actions were taken. 833 cases of misconduct, fraud, and infringements have not been completed. 6.1 billion rand of irregular expenses and 8.5 billion rand of fruitless and wasteful expenses haven't been investigated. 171 employees illegally did business with the department in contracts of more than 30 million rand, and record keeping is so poor that contracts of 208 million rand cannot be investigated. That is part of the findings of the contracts. It seems like many things leak. So this is the information that I got in that regard. I'm very, very glad to hear that you will be taking action. But can we get a commitment from you today that that action will include also criminal steps or criminal charges if necessary? There is a lot of cleaning up to be done. And I would like to also ask from you if we can get a time frame in this regard, because there is a lot of cleaning up that needs to be done. And I should imagine that some of it has already begun. So can you please take this House into your confidence and share with us how much of the cleaning up has already begun by this stage? Thank you very much.
Well, I can tell this House that we have received reports going back to the 1 mil. Our decision is not one of, we don't have any option. People will face DC, people will face the police. Any matter that has come our way of corruption, if the police are to be involved, yes. In some instances, they have themselves come to us to say, we are investigating this. We've said, go ahead, investigate. A ministerial directive has already gone out to the Secretary for Defense and to the Chief to act. Now, the Chief of the Defense must discipline his members. I can only act on him. I can only act on the sector. And that is why I have written to them to act. Because if they don't act, I will have no option but to act on them for not acting. And that is the commitment I'm making.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We will now, the next follow-up will be by the Honorable Mr. M.A.P. de Bruin.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Yeah, Minister, your answers has covered my questions, so I'm fine for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. de Bruin. Honorable Mr. M. Dangor.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, is there any reason why members of this House should be concerned the department will not be able to produce reports according to the PFMA? Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Dangor. Honorable Minister.
We should be concerned. I'm very new in the executive, and I can tell you it's a space I'm not comfortable with. It's nicer to be where you ask for questions. My take is, if you take on a job, you must actually take on a job because you know you are going to deliver. We are looking at our finances. We are looking at the capacity within the finance. In fact, the first month I became a bit of a bad enemy because that was my focus. Defense, you are getting bad audits year after year. What is wrong with you? What is the capacity? Why are we unable to do that? And so in one of our meetings, we agreed that we would review the policies within the department, but we will also review the skills that we have in the department. Because it's one thing to put in a good policy and not to have the person who is able to do that. Now, defense is also an interesting environment because you really need to know your story and you must have the guts to stand for what you know. And so sometimes you can get intimidated there because you're looking at these people. But if you do your job properly, you will get good results. So most of our bad audits, we have identified the areas and we have agreed with the Secretary for Defense that we will insert skills there that will report directly, whether it is in uniform or where. The buck stops with the DG and me. So we will be doing what we can do to ensure that capacity is there, resources are looked after. I'd rather have the what is not used going into the capacity building, making sure that soldiers are feeling happy and full, sleeping in good beds. That's what we are doing. But we've also had an issue where defense per se is not responsible for some of the mishaps. And that is why we are interacting with public works to rather do certain things on our own, because we can realize reasonable savings, which we can then divert into the welfare of the ordinary soldier. So those talks are on the table. But if you have a structure which demands certain skills and commitments, and you do not have those two things, then you are going to fail. You will not be able to understand the PFMA. And it's simple. We used to tell them that in the past, they said, keep every receipt in the shoebox. We said, do so, and you won't get into trouble.
Sure, thank you, Honorable Minister. The next follow-up is from Honorable Mr. MS Mulitsane. Mr. Mulitsane on the virtual platform.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. The minister has covered me by saying that those who are responsible for wasteful expenditure, they are going to account. We'll be waiting to see action taking place. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mulitsane. We will go to the last question for this round, and it is question number 76 as asked by the Honorable Ms. M. Bartlett. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Ms. Bartlett, yes, the Mushodi Maritime Secondary School is a school of specialization. It is the first inland school that offers maritime studies in Shabwa. It's a unique school in the sense that it's a men's science and ICT school focusing on maritime. It teaches nautical science, maritime economics, coding, and robotics. Now, if you do that in the middle of Shabwa, you are shining a new torch altogether. But what is important for us here is that it brings the Navy right back into landlocked communities who have absolutely no access to sea or things related to sea. Since its partnership with the Department of Basic Education, the Navy has exposed the children in that high school to the Navy. I'm a little bit disappointed that they only came once to Simonstown's, but I have been told that they will, now that COVID is over, that there will be more trips. I am also hoping that that school will give us our Navy capacity because they are prepared already. They understand everything about this. The Navy has donated a they've painted the school from outside into the exterior to appear and to reflect a maritime school. They have put in a ship's anchor in the school. And I'm hoping that it's not just those two things, a school that looks like there is an ocean around it and an anchor from a ship. That in fact, what we do put in is the values and ethos of the Navy. Service, respect, but that also begins to kill one myth that if you are born inland, you will never develop seafood. So we're hoping that our children will take that chance, especially the young women, to come in. Now, recently, when we were launching the latest ship, patrol ship, it was quite interesting to see a young woman as the second in command. Not affirmative action. She knew her story. She knows her story. So yes, I will always bet for all opportunities opened to all South Africa's children, including this of Muhlodi. And I'm hoping that the other arms of services will also adopt schools, because one of the challenges that we've been getting, Chairperson, is you did away with conscription, but you have not put anything in place that teaches young South Africans about patriotism, about loyalty to the country. And so it becomes very interesting when you visit other countries and you see them as young as this already, knowing that they've got a choice, and the choice is the military or that or that. So we want to multiply the Muhlodis and see that the school functions better than it can, that the matric results there are better than the other schools, because then we can prove that there is no mystery about studying science. There is nothing that prohibits anybody from Sharpeville to become a sailor. There is nothing that prevents them from not only becoming sailors, but they can move even into the other industries, build ships. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Bartlett, is there a follow-up?
Yes, Honorable Chairperson. With the Honorable Chair and Honorable Minister, thank you for the response, Honorable Minister, to my question. Honorable Minister, this is one of the best projects and positive projects done by your department, and it will only help the learners to broaden their minds. But I just want to find the scope in education. So is there no thinking in the department of increasing the kind of cooperation to help our children with their studies in the school? I thank Honorable Minister. Thanks, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Bartlett, Minister.
Yeah, I think that what the Navy, that is if they are inland, can do is to be more frequent, not only just coming once in a blue moon to paint, but to actually start getting close. But it is also to sharpen the subject. As it is already, this school does what the other high schools in the neighborhoods don't do. And that is why I was saying maybe we could look at increasing the number of such schools, creating a situation where the schools even compete amongst themselves, and ensuring that it is not just a school in Chapel that has bracket, but actually take the project Democratic Rainbow Nation a little bit further. Have a center where you can bring your children all together sometimes. Because if they choose to go into the Navy, all the races, it's very narrow spaces. Tolerance, patience is something that they need to have. And therefore the Navy can actually be a creator of the tolerant future that we need to have as a country. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We will now come to Honorable Mr. S. Zandamela. Mr. Zandamela, follow up from you.
Thanks, Deputy Chair. I'm partly covered by the Minister's response that will see a lot of Mahlolis, but my question would be, is the department maybe looking at other initiatives just to grow a pool of skilled leaders out there? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Does it mean you are covered, or do you want a response from the Minister? The way you put it, it seems as if you are covered.
I would like to get a response from the Minister.
It's fine, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Zandamela, yes, we will do so. Hopefully, we will have sponsors into the future. But having sponsors also means that I don't believe in there's nothing for Mahala, you know. But yes, we must thank Liberty Life, and perhaps we must look at, and I would rather wait until we have a resuscitated and functional and productive defense industry, which can then come in and help us with this project. But if there is any other Liberty Life volunteer out there to sponsor and to increase the number of these schools, I'd be happy. Or just sometimes to sponsor a trip of these kids back into Simonstown. It would be very nice.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Hadebe.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I would like to know from the Minister if the department's capacity to admit graduates from the Mohlodi, to know what is the department's capacity to admit graduates from the Mohlodi Maritime Secondary School. Thank you, Chair.
Capacity to?
Honorable Hadebe, do you mind to repeat your question?
Honorable, yes, Honorable Chairperson. My question was to inquire if the department has got capacity to admit graduates from the Mohlodi Maritime Secondary School, and if so, what is the capacity of the department? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. You would know that because of the financial problems, the defense had stopped their intakes. We are now restarting. Every second year we will be taking 2,000, and I'm hoping that proportionate we will be recruiting from schools like Mohlodi, because Mohlodi gives the children who are studying there a leapfrog chance more than any other. It prepares them. They're already made for the Navy life. So preferably the students coming from Mohlodi should be our first hunting ground, because they are already made, they know the instruments, they know the language, they can, you know, they have done maritime economics. I don't even know what they study there, but it's economics anyway. So for me, you would give schools like this a chance, but you would also create, because the other arms of services also do come out with their own initiatives. Sometimes the initiatives are paid for by the soldiers themselves. They have a fund where they contribute. And sometimes they identify a project in a village or in a town and they go there. So it's not necessarily that the department per se pays. And I think in this instance, that is why the Navy went in Shabelle with Liberty Life. But we should be creating capacity. Creating capacity, because even though it's a long time that the defense has not been recruiting, truth of the matter is that the older you get, the more you are tired of the sea. The younger you are, the more it is more adventure. So the younger people must replace the oldies, especially in times of war. No general fights or war. It's the younger ones that must take over. The generals give commands, direct. So we need to get this out there. The responsibility of South Africa around the coastal lines have increased. Our capacity is very, very little. In the Navy, you must consider rotation, and therefore the numbers matter because they do need to sometimes come out, see families before they can go back again. So the numbers of your personnel are important. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The last question for this round will be asked by the Honorable DC Christians.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Minister, the school's performance should really be commended. In fact, I was going onto their Facebook page now, and many of the learners have stated that standard of learning and discipline is really great and what an enjoyment it is to be at the school. So, but this in itself, you know, more recruits, you'll be getting more recruits to the school and more opportunities will be opening to more students there. And in turn, Minister, what steps will you then take to make military maritime career more appealing to some of these top learners that come from the school? Because I see that growth happening there.
It actually means that you look at the school's capacity to grow. It actually means that you begin to also invest in the teachers there. It actually means that you draw the career paths for the students, the products of the school. But it means also that you can build sister schools because this one can become a pilot to the other schools. If discipline is good in the school, it is just what we need as a country to produce young people who still have respect. Because if we don't do that, we are all doomed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We really want to express our appreciation for the way you have responded to the questions from the members. It's also for us sometimes very enlightening to sit here and listen to the kind of responses and the kind of questions also that is coming up. So we want to express our appreciation. We will now have a break, members, because of the way we suffered yesterday. Because of the way we suffered yesterday, we are offering tea and coffee. We will immediately, the bells will ring immediately when you are supposed to be back. So,
Recording stopped.
Yeah. No, you can leave the things. I'm going to switch it off. I enjoy it.
but you've always been one of the people that have respected the NCOP, and you've always been here when we need you. We will request you to ascend to the podium. So we will immediately continue. Honorable Moimang, you are inside. But so we will call on the minister responsible for state security to respond to question number 77 as asked by Honorable KM Moimang.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson and honorable members. I must also indicate that I've been forewarned about the temperature of this room yesterday. The high-level review panel implementation plan was revised, honorable members, and it prioritizes the passing of the General Intelligence Laws Amendment Bill, also known as GLAB, in the third quarter of this financial year. The bill seeks to amend the National Strategic Intelligence Act, Intelligence Services Act, and other relevant intelligence laws, so as to, among others, to de-establish the state security, to establish a domestic intelligence service, as well as foreign intelligence service in accordance with the Constitution of the Republic. While SSA has a number of occasions admitted that the progress towards implementing the high-level review panel recommendations has been slow, there are a number of recommendations that have been fully implemented. One, as of the 31st July 2022, 26 out of 73 recommendations have been fully implemented. B, 16 of the recommendations have been partially implemented. C, the remaining recommendations that are also included in the implementation plan will be implemented during the last quarter of the 22-23 financial year and during the 23-24 financial year. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Moimang, do you have a follow-up question? Whilst Honorable Moimang is asking his question, we will request Honorable Nyambi to take his position and for Honorable Ndongeni to come and take the chair symbolically.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Let me express my appreciation in the manner in which the Deputy Minister has responded comprehensively to the question I posed. And while noting the numbers of matters that are raised in the high panel review in terms of implementation, and also noting that the Deputy Minister has indicated that in the third quarter, the General Intelligence Laws Amendment Bill will be finalized. The question that I want to pose, Honorable Deputy Minister, is does this finalization of the General Intelligence Laws Amendment Bill also appreciates the key recommendations that were also covered in the Zondo Commission report as it pertains to the state security matters? Thank you, Deputy Minister. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. There are a number of interventions that the agency has put in place while awaiting the passing of GLAB, Honorable Moimang. One of the interventions was to centralize some of the administrative operational responsibilities to the Office of the Accounting Officer, appreciating that there may be weaknesses in the period before the finalization of GLAB. And we have also resuscitated the systems and control measures in the agency, which we identified, and some of them have been collapsed over a period of time. There's a structure called IM, Intelligence Management, whose sole responsibility is to produce intelligence product. The structure receives information from various sources, including provincial offices. After extensive analysis, corroborated by evidence, the structure produces intelligence products for the clients. And the reason you do that, among others, is to make sure that your product is not doubted. That's why you analyze the issues about the value chain and the distribution of the intelligence products is quite important, so that your clients do not have any doubt about the product which you provide to your clients. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Okay, thank you. The next is Honorable
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. Firstly, Deputy Minister, may I just comment, I think this is an improvement. Me sitting here, the Chief Whip of the Council has also agreed that this is quite an improvement to have someone in the seat of the Free State. And I'm sure it gives the people of the Free State hope for after 2024. Deputy Minister, one of the crucial recommendations of the high-level report was the minimization of secrecy, specifically with reference to the PAN report. The findings of the Zondo Commission further highlighted these previous findings and recommendations on various levels. Deputy Minister, do you think currently, with the little or almost no exposure of the secrecy measures that are in place and the upliftment of any of that, do you think really that we can believe that there's an appetite within the department to ensure that secrecy within the SSA is balanced with transparency and accountability, so that secrecy is no longer used to hide criminal activity? How can you convince us today with what we have seen or have not seen up to date that you are really serious about balancing secrecy with accountability? Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. You'll appreciate it, Deputy Chairperson and members. If I were to report to the House that Minister and I and the department, we've already started a process to demystify this whole notion about secrecy of intelligence. We're already working on a partnership with the Institution of Higher Learning, which I won't mention at this stage. Very soon, we'll be hosting colloquiums. Those colloquiums will be public. Among others, will be addressed by a number of institutions, where they are talking about institutions that deal with intelligence, that deal with security in the country, including internationally, that will come and share platform about some of the experiences that globally, what are the issues around issues of intelligence. So we are in the process to appreciate that we need to demystify this notion about secrecy. Even on an issue of when you ask for a ban, people will tell you that, you know, it's an operational issue. So we want to make sure that we deal with those issues. So you'll appreciate that that program, even members would want to come of the public will be invited.
Thank you very much. The next follow-up will be by Honorable Zandamela. Honorable Zandamela. Whilst we are waiting on Honorable Zandamela, honorable members, we just want to. There is a serious problem with that one's connectivity. We just want to explain that there was a problem for Honorable Nyambi to log on. That is why you saw the little bit of confusion in front, but it is being dealt with now. We will just ask Honorable Zandamela to ask his follow-up. And after Honorable De Bruin, we will ask Honorable Nongeni to take the chair again, and Honorable Nyambi will then chair the session further. Honorable Zandamela, I think there is a problem.
Thank you. Deputy Chairperson, can I proceed? Deputy Chair.
Matebula, do you have the question? So, Honorable Zandamela. Honorable Zandamela, we've advised you before to log off and log in. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Yes, I can. Yes, I've done it. I've done exactly that.
Honorable Zandamela, we will come back to you. We will come back to you. We will allow Honorable De Bruin to ask his question. We will come back to you. Log off and log in again, please. Honorable De Bruin.
Your Deputy House Chair. Honorable Minister, with regards to the appointment of Thembi Mayola as the new Director General of the SSA, President Ramaphosa made a statement where he said, and I quote, "The appointment of the Ambassador Mayola to this position is an important part of our work to stabilize the position of the country's intelligence services. Her extensive experience in government, international relations, and security makes her well placed to lead the reform and the rebuilding of the State Security Agency, close quote. Minister, my question would be, in what way did Thembi Mayola's appointment assist in the implementation of the recommendations? And to what extent have the factionalism in the SSA been eradicated? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. You remember, Honorable Member, that the issue about instability in the agency is raised both by the high-level review panel report as well as the Professor Sandy report that dealt with the July incident of last year. And therefore, one of the things that the President, if you recall, the 5th of August, when he announced some of the decisions in relation to the location of the agency, was the whole issue of stabilizing the agency, because there was a lot of acting. And as you know, if a lot of people are acting in any institution, there's a lot of indecision in the period. And we're happy that as part of stabilizing the agency, we now have a permanent Director General. For a very longest time, we've had many acting Director Generals. I may not respond about other issues of factionalism, but I think she's been doing quite very well to stabilize the institution. I think almost above 90% of the top management has been stabilized to make sure that we focus the organization to do and to carry out its mandate.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. Over to you, Honorable Nyambi.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Greetings to Deputy Minister and honorable members. Honorable Zandamela, are you winning in terms of your connection?
I don't know if I'm audible now, Chair, House Chair.
Now we are fine. You can continue.
No, thanks, House Chair. Minister, in the milestones set by the ministry, is that also include the complete overhaul of the intelligence and security sector, as there are current existing politicization of the intelligence sector? Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Zandamela. Honorable Deputy Minister.
I'm not sure if I understood the question. I heard the part about overhaul of intelligence. What is very clear from the high-level review panel report is that the whole organization, in terms of its mandate, was repurposed. And I think there are a number of recommendations arising from that observation of what needs to be done. And we're implementing those recommendations again to repurpose the organization to its original constitutional mandate. And I think we're on track to make sure that we achieve those recommendations, in spite of the difficulties that we continue to face in the implementation of some of the recommendations. But I think we're on track, not to overhaul. I don't think that is the language used in the high-level review panel, but it notes the fact that the organization was repurposed, and therefore it's important that the organization must come back to its original mandate in terms of the constitution. We're on track, led by the Director General, Ambassador Majola, in that regard.
Thank you, Honorable DM. Honorable DM, we now come to question number 82, asked by Honorable Labuskafne. Honorable Deputy Minister.
The PEN report was not reintroduced to the Hawks. Instead, it was referred to the NPA Investigating Directorate by the Zondo Commission. The ID is currently seized with the investigation on the matter and has been in contact with the agency, the department. To reintroduce the PEN report to Hawks would therefore be a duplication and a waste of state resources, as two law enforcement agencies will be investigating the same matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The first follow-up is from Honorable Labuskafne. Honorable Labuskaf.
Thank you, Chair. The Zondo Commission recommended that investigations should be carried out internally for disciplinary action against members, and also by law enforcement agencies against possible criminal statutory contraventions. Deputy Minister, you now said, and I'm glad that you said it's been referred to the NPA. My question then is, are there any internal disciplinary actions currently underway and against Arthur Fraser as an example, or any other members or previous members as implicated in the Zondo Commission report or any other prima facie evidence of maladministration and corruption.
Thank you, Honorable Oskachne. Honorable DM.
One of the recommendations of the high-level review panel report, as well as some of the recommendations from the Zondo last report, is an appointment of the independent forensic investigation company, which has now been appointed to investigate matters and make recommendations to the agency on, among others, disciplinary action which must be taken by the agency against transgressing members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The next follow-up question is from Honorable Ndongeni.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable DM. I'm sure Honorable DM will agree that over above possible criminal transgression alleged in relation to the operation of the principal agent network, there are equal serious breaches of internal discipline and protocols that may require internal investigation and discipline in action. My question is, what is the situation in this regard from a broad general principle without details?
Thank you, Honorable Ndongeni. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Like I said, the independent forensic investigation company, appointed honorable member, has already, which is again in an answer we'll give to another question, has already forwarded about 5 reports. And though some of those reports have been forwarded to the NPA for further decisions to be processed, we add the structures that are dealing with disciplinary actions internally. They are also considering, based on those reports, some of the disciplinary actions that must be taken based on serious misconduct and transgression.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The third follow-up question is from Honorable Hadebe. Honorable Bungane.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable Minister, with regards to the State Capture Commission's suggestion to establish a single dedicated anti-corruption agency in the midst of the revelations on the PAN program, has the ministry looked into accelerating the formal establishment of the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council? If so, when and how, and if not, why not? Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hadebe. Honorable DM.
We think we've got sufficient mechanisms to deal with issues arising both from the high-level review panel as well as the recommendations of the Zondo report. I don't think we need further to establish another structure to deal with that. For an example, like I indicated, we've already appointed a forensic independent company, which is dealing decisively with issues of to investigate. Remember earlier, we had what is called a VESA project, which also investigated internally some of the alleged misconduct and transgression by members. So we don't foresee a need of another body to do this work. I think we have sufficient mechanism internally to deal what has been raised both by the on an ongoing basis internally, but as well as implementation of the recommendations from various commissions.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The fourth follow-up question is from Honorable Arnott. Honorable Arnott.
Thank you, House Chairperson. South Africans do not believe that the security agency can be saved and be able to do the crucial work that they are mandated to do due to political interference, the massive ongoing abuse of assets at the State Security Agency, and the interference with criminal investigations into wrongdoing. Deputy Minister, we need an intelligence environment that is free of scandals and inefficiency. Now, Deputy Minister, do you believe that the referral only now of the principal agent network report are being used to settle political scores in the name of national security? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable DM.
We don't want to, at this stage, to make honorable members speculations and to enter their realm of making political speculations about why certain things happen elsewhere. But we think that the work that we've started to do to make sure that we re-image the institution from the past, which has been described by the high-level review panel. And we think we were on track, like I said, including what I've reported earlier, that we already adopted a program to demystify what is called secrecy about the intelligence. And we think that will go a long way to make sure that we rebuild the confidence of South Africans to the institution itself, because historically, the institution has got its constitutional mandate to make sure that all South Africans live free of fear.
Thank you, Honorable DM. Honorable DM, we now come to question number 78, asked by Honorable Bibi.
The agency, as per the recommendations of the high-level review panel, appointed the forensic firm on 2nd November 2021 to conduct investigations into the agency. To date, 5 reports have been received from forensic investigators, and they've been referred to the NPA Investigative Directorate to assess whether any members of the agency should be criminally charged. The structure responsible for enforcing discipline in the organization referring to the agency, is also studying these reports and will soon charge implicated members. Further to that, the Zondo Commission referred members of SSA implicated in criminal activities to the ID. The SSA is also working very closely with the ID on these matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The first follow-up question is from Honorable Mama. Honorable Mama.
Mama.
Honorable Mama.
Thank you so much. I don't know what happened now. Thank you, Chairperson. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I like them. I love you, Mama.
I love you, Papa. Thank you so much for the opportunity and such having peso. Chairperson, Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your detailed report that you have today. Without getting into the details about the categories of the allegations against intelligence officers, as being undertaken, determine the suitable of continued placement, implicated affiliations, strategic and sensitive positions. If not, why not? And if so, what are the relevant details, Minister? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mama. Even though your first part was a little bit a problem, Honorable DM, I hope you got the question.
No, Chair, I regret that I cannot give a wrong answer to Mama.
Let me allow Mama. No, not Mama. Can you have an opportunity
the first
to
part
have
and
your
the last
question?
part.
Honorable Mama.
Okay, let me repeat it, Minister. Without getting into finer details about the gravity and categories of the allegations leveled against intelligent officers, has any risk assessment being undertaken to determine the suitable and continued placement of some implicated officials in strategic and sensitive positions? If not, why not? And if so, what are the relevant details, Minister? I hope you hear me very well.
This time around, we got it, Mama. Honorable DM.
No, thank you very much, Mama, for the question. What I can confirm, in the light of some of the investigations and revelations and recommendations, in a case where there were members who held very sensitive positions. Some of those members have been moved to less sensitive positions whilst investigations are underway. That's all I can confirm, Mama.
Thank you, Honorable DM. We now come to question, a follow-up question from Honorable Dutoit. Honorable Dutoit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable DM, is it highly likely that because of infiltration and political objectives, that the State Security Agency might still house intelligence officers that has the ability to act against the best interest of the state? And if yes, are there any measures in place to rid the SSA of these individuals? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dutoit. Honorable DM.
We do not believe, honorable members, that as we speak, as situation obtains today, we still have members who may act against the oath of office, the oath of secrecy, or against the constitution of the Republic. We think that the capable leadership under Ambassador Majola has dealt and is almost going in the right direction to repurpose the organization to its constitutional mandate, original constitutional mandate. And we don't believe that there may be one or two who may want to undermine some of the programs and actions that are undertaken by the leadership currently.
Thank you, Honorable DM. We now come to the follow-up question from Honorable Lutuli. Honorable Lutuli. Honorable Lutuli. She seems to be struggling. Let's go straight to Honorable Ryder. Honorable Ryder.
Thank you, House Chair. Deputy Minister, the Zondo Commission has also pointed out that the many cases of misconduct and criminal activity also included large sums of cash withdrawals. So much so that the budget of the State Security Agency increased from about 42 million in 2016-17 to over 303 million in 2017-18, when Mr. Arthur Fraser was the Director General. The department reports that about 225 million of that was used for what it called covert operations. Now, the former Minister of Finance, Mr. Tito Mboweni, said in this House that approximately $50 million had been stolen in cash from the State Security Agency's offices, and that he was insisting that it be recovered, or he would reduce the department's budget to recoup that fund. Has the money been recovered, and have the responsible people been charged yet? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ryder. Honorable Deputy Minister.
I will not respond on behalf of the former Minister of Finance, but like I indicated to the earlier question asked by Honorable Moima about some of the work that we are doing to make sure that we deal with wrongdoing in the organization, including recovering the money that has been stolen in the organization. One of the things we have done, for an example, Honorable Member, is to strengthen the internal controls. We do accept that the internal controls in the organization for some time in a particular period had collapsed. They were made to collapse so that those activities you're talking about can easily be done. We have closed the tap, to put it bluntly. Since then, if you talk about 2018, since to date, such activities, as you mentioned, are no longer permissible in the organization, given the fact that we have now intervened and put systems and strengthened the internal controls in the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable DM. Honorable DM, we now come to question number 89, asked by Honorable Sanda Mela. Honorable DM.
The State Security Agency categorically states that it had no involvement with the Palapala farm before and after the alleged criminal acts that took place in February 2020. Further to that, no state resources were utilized by the State Security Agency to conceal the February 2020 alleged theft at the Palapala farm in Limpopo. The State Security Agency derives its mandate, honorable members, from Section 2 of the National Strategic Intelligence Act 1999 Act of number 39 of 1994. This mandate does not cover the private residences of the president.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The first follow-up question is from Honorable Zandamela. Honorable Zandamela.
Thank you, House Chair. As the minister in the presidency, have you engaged Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa on the need to come clean to the nation about his involvement in the criminal activities that took place at his farm, Palafan? If not, why not? If so, when is the president willing to answer truthfully to the authorities about his involvement? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable DM.
When any crime is committed, the first thing people who must investigate a crime is South African police. And therefore, any question about, in this case, for an example, the allegation is not about the involvement of the state security. And therefore, any questions about what the president is doing about the alleged theft, alleged criminality at his farm is a matter that I think the appropriate institutions will be responsible and answer the question.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The second follow-up question is from Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable Labuskaghni.
Thank you, House Chair. Deputy Minister, do you agree that legislation should be reviewed to enable security agencies as well as the JSCI to report incidents for investigation to the NPA in situations where resources and or processes were allegedly utilized illegally?
Thank you, Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable DM.
Thank you very much for the question, Honorable Labuskaghni. I do support the fact that we need extraordinary measures to deal with some of the incidences that we have witnessed. I'm not sure whether the JSCI as a committee, because it's another committee that has got a particular process, and that's why even people who participate, they go through a particular process, should be empowered more than what we have to deal with issues about investigations, unless there were violations about issues of intelligence. We've got, for an example, South African police, we've got ID, we've got NPA. That's why even in courts, they use evidence, collaborated evidence from those institutions. I'm not sure if the suggestions is that if you do investigation, we also require the intelligence to stand in front of the court to provide and collaborate certain evidence. But I think the JSCI as a committee has got a mammoth task to do to deal with some of these issues that you have seen, some of them in the public domain.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The third follow-up question is from Honorable Khatebe. Honorable Khatebe.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable Minister, with regards to the use of the SAPS Intelligence Crime Unit to reach for the alleged suspects in the Palapala Farm gate robbery, what checks and balances has the ministry regarded as not been followed? And what action in terms of consequence management will there be for those involved, as the incident was not officially reported? Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pungane. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Crime intelligence does not fall under state security. If there are any relevant questions to be asked, those questions must be asked to a relevant department. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The fourth follow-up question is from Honorable Malike. Honorable Malike.
Thank you, House Chairperson. And thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister, for clarifying the constitutional and legal mandate of the State Security Agency. Honorable Deputy Minister, it is no secret that the complainant is the in the Palapala matter is the former head of the State Security Agency, who for some reasons have not taken the country into confidence about the exact time that this matter and the accompanying exhibits were brought to his attention. As far as the Deputy Minister has gone through the complaint by the complainant, has the complainant mentioned the State Security Agent as an accomplice or an actor in whatever way in this matter? And if so, can the Deputy Minister take the country into confidence about the specific allegations made by the complainant that implicate the state security agents? Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malike. Honorable DM.
Thanks very much, House Chair, and thanks very much, Honorable Malike. No, there are no allegations implicating the State Security Agency from the complaint and the complainant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DM. Honorable DM, we now come to question number 83, asked by Honorable Labuskaghni.
The State Security through Project VESA did conduct an investigation into parallel vetting structure. However, a more detailed investigation was advised to determine the implication of national security fully. The VESA investigations were geared towards internal disciplinary actions as members involved appeared to have acted outside of the scope of the vetting regulations. 2, yes, checks have been conducted on the legitimacy of the top secret clearances that were issued at that time. The purpose of that vetting structure was to vet selected individuals and provide them with purported SSA clearance certificates. The certificates issued were not the same as the ones used by official SSA vetting structure. The process undertaken by those vetting officers was weak, outside of the scope of regular vetting, and not channeled through proper structures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The first follow-up question is from Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable Labuskaghni.
Thank you very much. Deputy Minister, what steps have been taken to reverse and set aside the irregular appointments and promotions based on this illegal vetting system within the SA, and has any criminal charges been laid in this regard? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable DM.
Thank you very much, House Chair, and thank you very much, Honorable Labuskaghni. You'll be happy to know that the certificate is valid only for 5 years. After 5 years, people are revetted. So if there would have been any people who were there at that time, which is quite a long period back now, we're talking about, they will be undergoing a revetting at the moment. So it will be during the period of revetting that some of these issues will pick them up. But we are building capacity internally to deal with these issues of revetting, to make sure that even those, their certificates has not lapsed, have not expired. Whilst they are left with certain months before they expire, they also go through the process of revetting to deal with this anomaly that happened during this period. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DM. The second follow-up is from Honorable De Bruin. Honorable De Bruin.